Welcome, welcome. It is Thursday and it is time for spiritual panel tonight. So I'm going to invite a few people. We'll see who else comes. All right, well, welcome. I want to start with, this is a spiritual safe place. So robots and bots that try to jump in, you will be immediately blocked. Even if you're not here listening right now, you will be blocked. Again, a spiritual safe place means you can have discussions, no arguments, and definitely no aggressive tone in chat or on panel. So I just want to make that known because this is supposed to be a judgment-free zone. So tonight is the discussion of the planet Mercury. And thank you those who joined. Thank you, Archangel. Did I miss anybody? Not. I hope not. Okay. So, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm going to do it a little different so that we can literally just jump in and do the astrology portion last, because the astrology portion is kind of the exciting part of talking about Mercury. Sorry, I'm like sitting on the edge of the chair, so I had to move back a little bit. So welcome everybody. So if this is your first week joining, welcome so much. So I'm doing a series on this spiritual panel, and we're going through all of the planets. And tonight is Mercury. So we have already done the Sun, the Moon, and Mars. And now we are doing Mercury. Next week, we'll be doing Jupiter. And I'm going to talk about how you can use it in your craft if you are practicing the occult, like if you're a pagan or a witch. And then we're going to jump into the astrology portion. So last time we kind of moved the astrology all over the place, but I want to make sure that we're kind of flowing, even though it gets really exciting to talk about astrology. And astrology has a huge impact in our spiritual lives. So it's really important that we embrace the astrological portion. So that's like super, super important. And please don't forget to like the live. And I do appreciate gifts. I will try to call you out if I see that you have given a gift, but sometimes I do miss everybody. So it's not for lack of not seeing. Still getting used to trying to watch the comments while I talk. So, but I want to thank everybody who has joined tonight. It looks like we've had quite a few people. So welcome, welcome. So I do want to start. One thing I did not bring up the other times is this book. So this is one of my favorite, Raven Digitalis, The Planetary Spells and Rituals. So if you are into witchcraft, and Raven is such an amazing person. He does not teach a lot of classes. I've been lucky to take 2 classes. So if you ever do happen to see he's teaching a class, jump on it, because he does not teach a lot of classes. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he'll explain in his classes why he doesn't teach a lot. And that's for him to explain. But this book is really, really great working with the planets. And he's got spells for every aspect of the planet, because each planet has different things. So we're going to jump into Mercury so that you can embrace Mercury tonight, right? So that's the fun part, is to embrace Mercury. So I grabbed a couple crystals because I was like, I need to be with this. So I do work with crystals. I love working with crystals. And so a couple crystals that are associated with the planet Mercury are, there we go. All right. Sorry. Something popped up on the screen. I'm like, I don't know what that is. So one of the crystals is the Aqua Aura crystal. It is heat treated. It's heat treated, and I believe no, this one's not titanium. It's mixed with something. So it was originally a quartz. That has been heat treated with some special love. They're beautiful. So if you want to work with these, but this is associated with Mercury. Another crystal associated with the planet Mercury is one of my favorites, lapis lazuli. I love this one because it's like a cube. But yes, lapis lazuli is so beautiful. And another one that I love that is associated with Mercury is this blue lace agate. I was like so worried because I was like, I grabbed small ones and I'm like, oh, will we be able to see them? But yeah, it looks like we can see them just fine. So there's blue lace agate. Quartz is also, so like regular quartz. I've got a little, why do I have all these little ones out? So there's just a regular quartz. I love it because it's got a couple of inclusions on it. So those are always fun. To have a little bit of inclusions. So these are just a couple of the crystals. Moldavite is also associated with Mercury. So we talked last week, it's also associated with Mars. And well, you can see my baby Mercury, or my baby Moldavite that I wear all the time. Moldavite's pretty tricky to work with. I have done a couple, like I've talked about it in classes that I've taught, but I really do need to do a live about Moldavite because Moldavite is just a really fun one to work with. But it can be tricky, and some people don't feel anything from it. Some people get too overwhelmed from it. So Moldavite is an interesting crystal to actually work with when we are working with crystals. Okay, so let's talk about some herbs that are associated magically with Mercury. Because that's like, I mean, that's what we're here for tonight, is the planet Mercury. So cinnamon is one. So Mercury is kind of a spicy planet. And so when we're thinking of spicy really will come to mind. So as you're working with herbs, keep in mind the spicy herbs are the ones that you'll be able to enjoy and work with when you are working with the planet Mercury. Oh, thank you so much, Vicki, for sharing the live. I really appreciate that. So, another one is lavender. I don't know about you guys, but I love lavender. As a matter of fact, I've got my lavender peppermint tea here tonight. It's like my favorite to drink. I just will take a sip. So, if you have not worked with lavender, we can use it in our spells. We can use it in mojo bags. We can use it in spell jars. We can anoint candles. There's so many ways we can use it. And culinarily, we can use lavender. I had seen somewhere somebody had put it on chicken, so I started putting culinary lavender on chicken. Oh my gosh, it is really good. I need to try it. Maybe I'll make it this weekend. But it's a pound cake, and the glaze is lavender and lemon glaze. So I'm gonna try that this weekend. Lavender, and you may not necessarily love to eat lavender. My husband does not like it. It is kind of an acquired taste, but I take a lot of herbs. Like when I don't like certain elements, I'll take Patiarco, and Patiarco literally tastes like dirt. So like if you eat herbs or use herbs that taste like dirt, you can, most any other herbs and plants, you're just going to be fine with. So, same thing like dandelion. I love dandelion tea. But and dandelion does not have like the best flavor to it. It's there to just detox your body. So great if you're starting a body detox. But I digress. So lavender is another one associated with the planet Mercury. Marjoram, I always say it wrong. That is also associated with Mercury. So is mullein. And another one of my favorites, star anise. One of my favorite, oh my gosh, like, if you've ever tried it, there's a French candy my grandmother used to get. And whenever I see it, I pick it up now, but it has star anise in it. And it's actually, boy, if I lived in France, I'd be eating it every day. Other ones, thyme and woodruff. Would you put it in a capsule? The lavender, are you talking about the lavender, Vicki? Let's see. You could, like if you crushed the lavender, you could put it in capsule form and take it. Yeah. And lavender is easy to get into a powder form. So yeah, if you tasted it and you're like, ooh, this doesn't taste good to me, you could do it. And I've done lavender and lemonade, and oh, that's really, really good too. So, and a really fun, like I do lavender and peppermint tea a lot, like almost every day. But another combination is rosebuds and lavender. That's a really good one too. I thought one day I'm like, I'm going to try this because I usually do my rosebud tea separate. But yes, you could crush your lavender into capsules. Make sure you get the culinary lavender. I grow lavender in my yard, not as much as like I use when I'm cooking and stuff, but like, cause my neighbors, on both sides of me, they have lawn people come and spray pesticides on their lawns. I try, like one of my neighbors is really courteous and they always tell me, even though we have like a fence, but if the wind is blowing, the pesticides are going to blow in my yard. So one of my neighbors will tell me so I can cover my plants, but the other one doesn't tell me. And that's the one that there's just a big enough gap that their spray comes in my yard. But yeah, I get culinary lavender. And I don't mind doing shout outs to companies because I think it helps them grow businesses. I believe the last time I got lavender, I believe I got it from the San Francisco Herb Company, but they have a lot of fabulous herbs that you can get. So if you're in the States, you can do that. So, all right. So, and pesticides are unnecessary on lawns. I'm also the lawn in the neighborhood that right now it's like almost yellow because my dandelions are coming up and I'm like, yay. I have had multiple neighbors complain to me and I'm like, they're for the bees. So they leave me alone because they know I'm the crazy lady that loves having a yellow lawn. So, because it is for the bees. And then I go out and I actually dig up the roots and make my own tea. So, the teas are really great. And I actually just today, yes, we have to save the bees. I actually have a lot of plants that are bee friendly in my yard. And I also have butterfly friendly plants in my yard. But I did see a really great, I'm going to test it out, salve out of dandelion that you can make. So I'm really excited because I'm going to test that out. So, gotta get some of those, but I saw like there's enough coming up. I think it will be okay if I take a couple dandelions and then leave the rest for the bees. So yes, sugar water does help. It actually helps everything. Even if you're going to do, a Yule tree or a Christmas tree, however you call it, if you do the fresh ones, if you do sugar water, your tree will last longer and it will be fresh for a long time. I've always had people, why are your trees, like, our tree dies so fast? I'm like, sugar water, like, hello. But yes, thank you, Vicki, because sugar water is the best. Yes, I'm hoping, Vicki, I'm hoping I have brought a lot back too. My yard's usually full, like when my flowers start coming up, and I noticed a lot of my early spring flower, my daffodils are up today, like, they were kind of sprouting, but they weren't open yesterday and they were open today. So I was really excited about that because my crocuses have been out, which that brings a lot of bees. So that's really important. Sorry. Now we're on this bee topic, but bees are important and they're becoming extinct because of all the chemicals and pesticides that are used, and we shouldn't be using them. We're abusing our earth. So, and I don't think we can live on Mercury. So we need to take care of our earth that we have. It's lovely when you see a sick bee and just try to put a bit of sugar water next to it. Ooh, that's an idea. I haven't seen any sick bees, but I do have all sorts of stuff out. So yes, Candace, we are definitely abusing our earth. Most definitely. We need to plant more trees and plant more, like, use less pesticides, less bioengineered food, all of that. So, oh, I'm sorry, Candace. I haven't seen them for a while. Last time they came, my husband's like, I don't think we'll see them for a while. I have no idea what he said to them. So Candace and I happen to have belonged to the same cult. So whenever we bring that up. So yeah, it's yeah, all right. We can move on from the cult, right? Or try to. I know they don't like losing people, so they'll try. They'll probably go a year and then come back, is what I figure, once a year. The cult, it's the Mormon Church. Yes. So, and they've had a lot of, they've had a lot of bad publicity, in Idaho and Utah and Arizona, with a lot of people that are members of their cult that have been committing crimes in the United States. So, welcome, TJ. Welcome. So, very excited about tonight. I know there's a lot of new people. So before I move on again, because we've gone through the herbs, we've gone through some of the crystals. No, you're completely fine. I get derailed very easily. I did want to throw this out for anybody in the craft. Raven Digitalis' Planetary Spells and Rituals. This has all of the planets in it and how you can incorporate it into your craft. He does have beautiful spells and rituals. And I did say earlier, he does not teach a lot of classes, but when you see that he is teaching a class, take advantage of it because he's a very wonderful teacher. He's just a very wonderful person. The name of the book again, yes. Planetary Spells and Rituals by Raven Digitalis. This one is put out by Llewellyn. So, I'll hold that up just a minute, and I know it's backwards, so it might take a second. I just want to make sure everybody gets that. I love to do shout outs when I can. I probably have about 1,000 plus witchcraft books. So yeah, and you know what? Not everybody needs to do spells. That's why some people call themselves pagans and not witches, and some witches are not pagans. I do both. So, and you don't need to do spells. We can incorporate. That's why I want to spend a lot of time on the astrology portion, because we can learn a lot about ourselves astrologically when we're working with the planets. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do the witchcraft portion. So to ease us into that, when we're looking at the planet Mercury, Mercury is associated with communication, travel, and mental processes. So our mental thinking, our mental health. It also helps us acquire knowledge. And there we go. And yay, I'm easing us into the astrology portion. So perfect timing, Bren. And then just so everybody knows, I only have 2 moderators, Bren and Azriel. So yes, Bren, you've been promoted. So if they happen to see, again, this is a spiritual safe place. So if they happen to see anything that's causing negativity, we'll try to give you a warning. But the first thing that would happen is you would be muted before we'll block you. But they'll also make sure that we don't miss any questions, because I'm good at missing questions. So.
Behave, kids. I'm watching you.
Yeah, watch it.
Back. Put it down.
Yeah. So, I just, and you know, Bren, because you just got here, I'm going to hold up the book again. Raven Digitalis' Planetary Spells and Rituals. I should have been holding it up every week. If anybody wants to do spell casting, this is a great book because it has every planet in it. So, and it is spells and rituals. So it is more for those that are practicing witches that do spells. So, all right, we're going to jump back to Mercury, and then we're going to ease right into the astrology portion, which I know we'll talk about for a really, really long time. And again, if you have any questions on anything, please pop them in there. So, like I said, Mercury is associated with communication, travel, and the mental processes. So this is like the acquisition of knowledge, which is, you know, we're all here. We're all learning. We're learning and growing from each other right now. Mercury's leadership in the craft or into witchcraft is to influence our thoughts, but it also affects our nervous system as well as plants. So keep that in mind. It does help plants. And here's where we start to ease in. Oh, let's see. I don't know if you realize that you're an amazing communicator. Oh, thank you so much, TJ. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you. So we're going to ease in. So Bren, we're going to jump in, and because literally these influences in witchcraft overlap with, oh, thank you, Vicky. I'm glad to hear that. You know, my daughter calls me the anxiety whisperer. So, and I have another friend, when she has an anxiety attack, she calls me and she'll be like, just tell me anything. So it's always nice to hear that. So I really do appreciate that. So I'll go back. I get derailed very easily, but so when we're talking about Mercury's influences in witchcraft, this is also, now we're getting into the core of how it influences us astrologically. So definitely, if you haven't pulled your natal chart, you can do it on your phone. There's an app called Time Passages. I like Astro Cafe and, oh, Bryn, what's the other one? I forgot the other one last time too.
Astro.com.
Thank you. And see, it's the easiest one. Astro Cafe would be a little harder to remember. And why do I remember it? Or Time Passages is harder. So, oh, that's fascinating. Listening to Mercury frequencies on YouTube. So if you haven't pulled your natal chart, I'm going to highly recommend it, especially for these next couple weeks, because we really are diving into the astrological portion. So I'm going to ease our way out of the witchcraft, and I'm just going to throw out a couple points, and then Bren and I are just going to start chucking out astrological things for you. All right. So Mercury, communication and knowledge. So this is both written and spoken communication. It's also the ability for us to connect with others and express ourselves and learn new things. And we can harness Mercury's power when we want to improve our communication and learn a new skill. So Mercury's just really great with that. And the cool thing is like, if you're feeling like you're having communication issues, you're also probably going to have a block in your throat chakra. And so you can open your throat chakra and incorporate Mercury to help you get through that. All right, going on vacation, or you need to travel or for work or moving. Yes, Mercury is for travel and movement. So it is linked both physically and metaphorically. So if you're going to be doing treading the mill, astral travel, astral projection, somebody told me another really cool one and I'm forgetting how they called it, but or if we're doing lucid dreaming, you might want to incorporate Mercury in this. Oh, you're all good. We're good, because I'm going to sneak through all of these. It's also good for us to have mental clarity. So it helps us sharpen our mental clarity. It improves our focus, and it can move away mental blocks. So I know some days I'm like, where's my head? I have to take a minute and incorporate Mercury to help me remember and see, because I keep forgetting astro.com. I need to incorporate Mercury a little bit more, right? So we can actually also harness Mercury to heal our emotional wounds and help us with our mental well-being. So that's also something really fabulous that we can use Mercury in. It helps us with, I'm gonna do Mercury in retrograde last. So I did talk about a couple of the plants, lavender being one of them. So I'm actually having lavender and mint tea right now. But for rituals, when we want to incorporate Mercury in our rituals, we can do that for protection, luck, or to speed up the action of spells. Mercury is a fast-moving planet. It's an action-filled planet. So we can use that in that way when we are doing spell casting. We can also incorporate Mercury into amulets. So we can take our herbs and we can put them in an amulet, or you know what's really cool? We can actually take the symbol for Mercury and make that an amulet for protection or for knowledge, for any of these concepts that I've been talking about tonight. And because Mercury is for communication, it is really great to create sigils. You could make a beautiful sigil with Mercury. You really can. So it will really help us when we want to boost our intentions with sigils when we're working with magic. So let's jump into Mercury in retrograde, and then we're going to really dive deep. And I'm just going to barely touch the surface of Mercury in retrograde before we start diving deep. So Mercury in retrograde happens several times during the year. We just finished one. And honestly, when you know it's coming, you can prepare for it. But here's the kicker part is a lot of times the people outside are the ones that struggle the most with it, and their energy is going to impact you. And then you're probably going to get sucked into the Mercury in retrograde chaos, right? So, but learn to balance that Mercury in retrograde. So it's seen as a time of heightened communication challenges and delays. It can also be a really good time for reflection. And we can reflect on our past or on our future. So if we're like, I need to work on something in the future, or this didn't get done in the past, we can use that as a reflection time. This is also when Mercury's in retrograde, it's a really great time to reevaluate your personal goals and clean out your spaces and finalize any projects that you're working on. And these are the positives. Now, keep in mind, like, well, okay, the first one I told you is not really a positive, because yes, communication can be very chaotic during Mercury in retrograde. A lot of times I realize that's when people like seem to be on edge or irritable very easily. So I do notice that in working with people. And there are certain things I won't do during Mercury in retrograde, just because I'm like, all right, like if there's something important I need to talk about with like somebody, I usually wait till Mercury in retrograde's over, just because of that communication issue that can pop up. So one thing I love as we go into this is Mercury is really how we listen and how we communicate. And oh, I love this, TJ. I've listened to hundreds of people try to explain this, and none of them made it pleasant. Well, you know what? When we learn how to work with it, it's not going to be a big deal. So thank you. Thank you so much, TJ. So one thing about Mercury, though, is because it is how we communicate with others. So like I've said the last couple weeks, I literally pulled like my best friend and my husband and my children, my parents. I pulled the people close in my life. I pulled all their astrological charts. And a couple of them sometimes like, you know, it was like, okay, why are we not having an agreement here? And when you look at where their Mercury is and where my Mercury is, because it is communication, it is so critical to understand. So I've said this the last couple times, I'm going to say it again. We cannot change anybody else. We can only change ourselves. And so instead of forcing our values and our expectations, when we have somebody in our life that is really important to us and we understand their astrological chart and we're like, oh, their Mercury is in Aries. Oh, their Mercury is in Capricorn. We can understand the concept of how they communicate, and we can bend our communication to make it so that we can have a meeting of the minds instead of an argument. So that's one thing that I want to just really, really stress. So Bren, let's talk astrology. Let's talk about Mercury. Take the floor.
Alrighty, so let's go all the way to the very beginning about this little. I have to say he's like a chameleon. He can blend right in. And the Vedic name for Mercury, this might even make some people go, wait a minute, really? His Vedic name is Buddha. And so wait a minute. Wasn't there a figure named Buddha? Yes, that that's the avatar of Vishnu that's related to Mercury. Buddha. Mind blown. Yep. So see if I can get this thing to focus. So this I'm going to try and turn this camera on. Hopefully it'll stay put. Okay. There. Give it a flip. So this, please hold. This is what Buddha looks like as an avatar. And if you notice, he is green in color. I think you can kind of reason, okay, so his color must be green. Yes. And if you notice the mount he has, is this lion thing. That is also symbolic. Because Mercury is a planet that is very, very difficult to offend. He will sit with an enemy of his, even Mars, and still be curious. That's why he sits on this terrifying figure, because he, even though he can be swung at, he's still able to keep an open mind and be curious about the environment, which sitting on that would be that. And in case you're wondering, yes, these are my notes I have. So there's Mercury, and in a way, it kind of makes you think, are you sure that's Mercury? It kind of looks like the moon. Yeah, there's a reason why. The diameter is approximately 3,032 miles long. Its movement is never consistent. It transits through one zodiac sign. It can go from 14 days to a month in one sign. It is the smallest of all the celestial bodies. Yeah. Mercury is the planet that retrogrades the most, that is the closest to Earth. It is the one that retrogrades the most.
Mm-hmm.
And its cycle is approximately, again, it can range, but usually it's approximately 20 days. And since Mercury looks a lot like the moon, that is significant. As the Vedic tales put it, Chandra, which is the moon, was wandering past and saw Tara, who is also Bhumi, who's also the earth, metaphorically, and he asked her, why are you upset? Then she just responded with, my husband, Brihaspati, which is Jupiter, he never gives me attention. He's always at the king's palace and always doing his duties and is just not ever giving me any attention and not making me feel like I'm valuable. So, Chandra, being him as he is, decides to go, you know what? How about I take you on a night of the town and give you what you're longing for? So he does that. Tara now is expecting. Jupiter comes back and he's just all, wait a minute. Wait, how are you expecting? It is because Chandra gave me all that I desired. That's when Jupiter, just realizing, oh, heck no, he gathers some of the Devas and then they just start chasing after Chandra like a Scooby-Doo chase scene. Yeah, like causing that big chase. Then in the background, there is Venus watching it all come about. And Venus has a big rivalry with Jupiter. So Venus took this opportunity to kind of teach Jupiter a lesson. And while at the same time also safeguarding Chandra for having an affair with Tara. So Venus tells Jupiter, wait a minute, how about instead you take a moment and realize that all that Chandra did was give your wife what you never gave her. You should be thanking him for giving her what you never could. Jupiter stopped in his tracks and said, you know what? You're right. You are right. I should be appreciating him for that. And that's how Jupiter became really close friends with the moon. But moon is in this awkward position like, how come you sure you're not mad that I've had that moment with your wife? Oh, no. I understand that you were just doing the best for her. So it kind of lives in that awkward place. But from that, Tara bore Buddha, Mercury. So the qualities of both the moon and Jupiter, since Tara is his wife, are being instilled into Mercury. So Mercury is born. And so Mercury represents the earthly intelligence and earthly wisdom, which is the knowledge of the mundane everyday. So Mercury is what you look at to see, for example, mathematics, calculations, also botany, and also the practical sciences of the world. And now if you look at, say, like a Jupiter, Jupiter would be instead of like, so this rose, I know that it does all this beautiful things for your skin, but why is that? Oh, I see. Since it's a rose and it's a flowering plant, it has this essence of Venus, which has this beauty, this arts, and brings life to it. That's the difference between intelligence. That when you bring in with the other concept with how Mercury being very fast, is that he's able to adapt and he can mimic. Same thing with Moon. Moon takes the qualities of whatever she's sitting with or being aspected with, she takes it and then dilutes it. Because she intakes it all, then she expresses it with her own emotional or feminine quality to it. Mercury takes it all, but then outputs it as the exact, like a copy. So Mercury is the chameleon, the impersonator, and think of a character. So Mercury is the chameleon, the impersonator, and think of a character just like well, not really a character, like a person like what's his name? Jim Carrey. That's an example of a Mercurian person. He's able to just go, Max, fetch me my winter coat. I said 3/4, not 5/8. That impersonation ability. So when we have, and this is just like an example, the Buddha that's like laying, that's Mercury. But now when we take a look at, say, when we have Mercury in his own sign, I'm going to turn this off so I can send my phone battery. But Mercury has his own signs of Gemini and Virgo. But now, you're probably thinking, okay, so Gemini and Virgo, okay. So why does Mercury rule those signs then? Well, with Gemini, it is considered a masculine sign. But it shows the twins, yes. But ultimately, Gemini's original depiction was a man figure pointing one way, and then on the other side was a woman figure, and they're joining fingertip to fingertip. That's Gemini. It is that equal level understanding of communication and being able to speak on the same level. Then when you bring in Virgo, that is Mercury now at its highest potential and its highest octave. And Mercury is one of, I believe, yeah, Mercury is the only planet that gets Motricona, meaning it's in its own house and it's comfy, and it's exalted at the same time in Virgo. Mercury's the only planet that has that quality. But at the same time, Mercury, despite being, he's considered debilitated, or I like to call pissed off in Pisces, because you're taking the logical mind and you're saying, okay, logics, use your imagination. What? How am I supposed to do calculus if I'm trying to imagine something? I mean, I'll try and figure it out. But that's like Mercury. He will get confused, but he'll still try. Because Mercury is that chameleon. He can adapt to a situation. And when he's conjunct a planet, he cheers that planet on. So Mercury's very easy to influence, just like the moon. But Mercury has animosity with Mars. Well, because Mars is like, get it, man! And Mercury's like, why are you so mad, bro? Why are you gonna be so angry? What did you say? Do you want me to hit your kid? Why you gotta hit people, dude? Why can't you just chill and have some fun? Besides, you're too slow. And he also has animosity with Jupiter, his stepfather. Because when Mercury came into existence, Jupiter disowned him for not being a full, I guess, full-blooded child of his. So Jupiter disowned him. And because of that, despite Jupiter trying to come back to repair that, Mercury still held on to that not being accepted. So when you have Mercury and Jupiter together, that shows wisdom and the intellect trying to come together, but it gets mixed up with each other. Like, for an example, say if you have somebody teaching chemistry and now they're teaching all the mathematical procedures and whatnot, they're now trying to be a bit of a pusher to be, like saying, because Jupiter's that general. They're saying if you're wanting to figure out how to do mixing CO2 with O2, you have to push it in this way. And the reason why is because this chemical has the power of Zeus in it. What? That shows like how it can get blended together and mixed up. But when you now also look at other planets where Mercury doesn't have a lot of say friendliness to, believe it or not, also Mercury isn't really fond of his own technically father, Chandra, because now you're having the logical mind now sitting with the emotional intelligence and the feeling of security. When you have two very fast planets coming together, the mind can go all over the place. But at the same time, that can also make somebody a really good therapist and being able to be mentally and emotionally flexible, and also being able to move on the fly and think quickly. Mercury is neutral with the sun. Okay, right in the middle. Venus is one of his friends, and see, Saturn is also another one of his friends. Well, look at it this way: you have Mercury, who's like the grandchild, then you have Saturn, who's the grandparent. What usually happens when you have a grandchild and a grandparent? The grandparent spoils the grandchild, always. So that's how that connects. Uranus, Mercury is friendly with Neptune. It doesn't really bond too well with Neptune that well because it is spiritual and Mercury doesn't prefer to not deal with that, but he can try to adapt with it. Pluto, he likes Pluto because Pluto has that energy of like, oh, something new. It gets his attention. But Mercury is also friendly with the North Node Rahu, but he's not fond of Ketu because Ketu wants to go meh with everything and doesn't want to know anything, go within. Rahu's like, how can we do something that's against the grain and eccentric as heck, like what Uranus does? So those are the planetary friendships. Now, when we talk, say, when we have like certain planetary associations with Mercury, well, Mercury represents the younger sibling. You preferably you could usually see it as a younger sister, but it can also be a younger brother. It can be. Mercury is also the one of the only few planets that is considered to be a neutered planet. What do you mean neutered? Well, he's the hermaphrodite. Yeah. In the Vedic texts, Mercury was wedded to, I'm going to try my best to remember their name. I got to play Dicto to find it. Married to, I'm looking right at her. Oh, crap. I almost said Ino, but that's not her. Isla. And she was cursed by a man to be, well, no, she was cursed to be a man for 15 days and then cursed to be a female for the next 15 days. And Mercury wedded Isla and made the choice himself to also be afflicted with that same kind of curse so that way he could better understand his spouse. So every 15 days, they switch. That's the energy of Mercury. So Mercury has dominion over those who transition. That's Mercury. That is something that a lot of people just go whoop right over their head. Mercury has that dominion over it. So it even says it in the ancient text. So there, take it. Anyway, so Mercury has this also dominion over the twilight hour. What's the twilight hour? It's the sunrise and also the sunset. That's the twilight hour. That's where Mercury has the most power because it could be either close to evening or morning rise. because you really can't tell the difference. But that's also when the sun rises. That's when Mercury's active, and then if you're doing any kind of like sending any kind of prayers or wishes to any spiritual entity, that's where it's the most strongest because Mercury will grab that message and take it. That's why he's also associated with Hermes. Then when you also look at it on the other side, when it's moonrise or evening, it's the same thing. Except now your messages are now going to be going into somebody's dreams in the evening, if they're sleeping, that is in that way. But that same concept goes in there. And Mercury is a Rajasic planet, meaning Mercury is wanting to enjoy the 3D, the mundane, because he wants to understand things. He wants to learn about things. And he wants to, I would say Mercury would be the curious ignorance. Like an ignorance that's not oh, I know this is bad, but I'm going to still do it anyway, knowing it's a bad idea. I don't know what's going to happen, but bad will happen. No, not that ignorance. But like this curiosity to just, what's this? He wants to understand it. And once he understands it, he can then take it for himself and then adapt it to where he wants to. But at the same time, Mercury has the perspective of, I don't want to take anything, any kind of knowledge that I know and keep it to myself. I don't want nobody to have to think it's right to just hoard all the knowledge and all that stuff. I want to give it to everybody. Hey, everybody, look at this stuff. This is Jupiter stuff. Isn't it nice? Uh, Buddha, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just telling everybody about all your work. Buddha, you're not supposed to give that to everyone because not everybody will understand it. What do you know, fat guy? Everybody should give a chance. There is a reason why, child. I have to teach people a certain way with that so they can understand. What do you know? So he wants knowledge to be given to everybody equally. And let's see what else do I have in my notes. There we go. So Mercury is windy constitution and is tall in stature. He's also represented as like in like say the kingdom, I guess, title or whatever. He would be the prince. He is intellectual and is a preserving. Oh, and another of the devas that Mercury is associated with is Lord Vishnu Dev, who is the preserver. And not only that, Mercury being Vishnu, Venus being also Lakshmi, his consort. Mercury and Venus, when you have them together in conjunction, that is what is known as it's a Lakshmi Narayana yoga. Because what it is you're having Vishnu and Lakshmi together. And when you have that together, well, I think that's kind of self-explanatory. But Mercury is a airy planet because he's moving around all the time. He has rulership of course, Gemini and Virgo. His color is green. Mercury. His primary is emerald. Secondary are peridot, green aventurine, amazonite, green jade, moss agate, serpentine. Yes, serpentine. There's also crud. I just had it and I lost it. It'll come back. It always comes back.
Well, if it helps, I did show Moldavite,
Oh yes,
Angel Aura quartz, blue lace agate.
chlorine quartz, the green phantom quartz.
Yes, lapis.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Moldavite. Did I say Moldavite?
And direction in terms of Vastu, like the Vastu Shastra, it would be in the, okay, let's see here. His direction would be, okay, it would be the northeast direction. And his his caste, even though when we say caste is like what type of part of society he associates with the most would be the trader. His education is mathematics, statistics, journalism, astrology. Yep, astrology, astronaut. His character is intelligent, friendly, witty, hysterical, romantic in nature because, believe it or not, Mercury's also the playboy of all the planets. He's a flirt. Nothing wrong with that. He got to flaunt it. He's cunning, diplomatic, calculative, soft-spoken, discriminative, explorative, adaptable, and he's an opportunist. His scent, like one of his scents is well, like the scented articles would be camphor, and his sound is ma ma. Yeah, his he stays in the sign for approximately a month. His planetary time period is 17 years long, and it's the last one before it resets and starts again in K2. He owns Gemini and Virgo. His exaltation is Virgo. He gets debilitated in Pisces, and the constellations that he has rulership over are the last ones and then the water signs, which are Aslacia, Jeshta, that's one of my favorites, and Refti, because these last three are showing the three parts of Mercury that are either vulnerable, too much, or dissolving. So Aslacia is that too much of being close, but then it's also the too much of being able to how am I going to put this without sounding weird? It's having the sensitivity and the nervous system be overstimulated. That's the Slashdub. J-Shub is the overabundance of authority, overabundance of expecting respect, and also that over expectancy of you don't mess with me because over the top of that can really make somebody go, I don't know about you. So it's like Mercury's like learning that skill to know how to get control of it. And Refti is the last part of Pisces that's about having the transition from, like, say how Mercury goes into Hades and then comes back out. That's the Refti part. Then what else we got? Mercury is also associated with an arrow, the shape of arrow. Its taste is mixed. First they're sour, then they're sweet. That's Mercury. Go sweet. Yeah, sour.
I've got a little Mercury in my cup. I've got a little Mercury in my cup.
Yep, there you go.
My lavender.
And Mercury is also associated with, of course, the element Mercury. It is the colors of and flower are white-colored flowers, and the petals of the prickly chaff flower. Yep. And this is all coming from like the Vedic side. This is also associated with the Tulsi plant, because again, Tulsi is believed to be perhaps one of the most sacred plants to Vishnu, as well as the creepers, like the creeper plant, not like Jeepers Creepers, Scooby-Doo, no, creeper plant. Green leaves, and the associated animals with Mercury. This might be very interesting. Felines, cats, because they are very like jolty. Out of nowhere, they just go, then they go back the other way. Zoomies. That's that. The jackal, and Mercury is mainly associated with the male cat, if we're going to be more specific. When it comes to birds, parrot, because parrots, well, they impersonate. That's Mercury. And it's associated with, when it comes to like locations or buildings, it's the schools, colleges, commercial places, libraries, recreational clubs, the book stalls or book exchange, printing press, registration offices, and it's also any place where there is both male and females coming together. Mercury is the forehead, the neck, and the tongue. Mercury's other parts of the body are the little finger, the pinky finger, the neck, the throat, the skin, the tongue, the lungs, the arm. I already said forehead. Yeah, I said forehead. The shoulder, hands, and phalanges. The afflictions of Mercury. Well, you got a stomach disorder. You got leprosy. Possibly also childlessness. I think I said that right. Intestinal afflictions, skin diseases, mental disorders that are not psychological. That because Moon, if she's afflicted, that's psychological. Mental disorders are like things that are like say a ASD, ASD, autism spectrum. That would be Mercurian. You can even also say there's like if somebody has a challenge with like a learning handicap, that can be an affliction of Mercury. But another thing to keep in mind, Mercury being so sensitive, he can be easily impersonated because he's the innocent one. He's like the gullible prince. Like, oh yeah, I'll trust you. So he could be influenced in a way where it affects. And it's also I'm trying to say this word, eczema. Eczema.
Eczema.
Scabies, sore throat, tonsils. Also, potentially you can see also balding with Mercury if it's afflicted in that way. It is also the household articles represents anything like a book, notebook, pen, pencil, paper, photographs, wall paintings, bookshelves, and any place where it's like part of the office. And it is okay, here we go. Uncle, parent, father-in-law, younger third brother, can also be a girlfriend in some variations of Vedic, which is be Nandi. And it can also be the boyfriend. Yes, the first love can possibly be Mercury. Younger sister, also the wife. How can Mercury be the wife? Again, Mercury goes from male, then goes to female. Mercury can be influencing a lot. So if Mercury's always like, oh yeah, hi Mercury, always looked over, but Mercury is, oh, he does a lot. He's also trade and commerce, book selling and publishing, an accountant, author, poet, writer, comedian, actor, astrologer, a painter, lawyer, teacher, professor, lecturer, scientist, research engineer, a cosmetologist, especially when it comes to like the nail health, as well as a what is that called? Chiropractor. Anything pertaining to zookeeping, because yep, again, animal life, that's Mercury. Um, a novelist, forensics examiner, yep, because you got to use a mixture and you got to use your intelligence to try and piece together things in order to figure out what happened. It's also the indication of the curse of Vishnu, which ooh, it's also the curse of younger people. So if you're not having some good things, if you're not able to speak that good, might be a curse of Mercury on you. And how do you fix that? To put it simply, all that you do is you go to, like, say for an example, you go and donate to a school, or you donate to an orphanage, or you help a child. That's one of the most simplest things to do to help Mercury, because you're helping somebody younger. You're helping the youth. When you help the youth, Mercury gets satisfied for that. And see, I think I pretty much got everything. I can't think of anything else.
I think you did get it. So, and we love this. I love hearing the Vedic because that's the only part of astrology. I always was fascinated with it. So I do love that you do that. Welcome, Azriel. We're talking Mercury tonight.
I hear you. Oh, I've been busy. I'm still working. I'm actually wrapped up the last stop. Yeah, just leaving the college, last minute thing. After I came from downtown, I had to go to the college. So I'm en route home, and I know I got a live in about an hour, and I'm like, man, I don't even know if I want to do it, or prolong it for half an hour. But I love it. I love listening. Especially we're talking about the planets. This is part four. Am I correct, or three? Four.
Yeah, this is part 4. Yeah.
Yes, part four. So we had the sun, we had the moon, we had Mars. Now we're with Mercury. Yeah, and Mercury is a good example of communications and skills. It's what do you call it? Listening skills. Gaining knowledge. I think Mercury has a lot of love to learn knowledge and wisdom and stuff like that. So yeah, Mercury is all about communication. Able to express yourself, improving your speaking abilities, and I myself am able to incorporate that because I love listening to everybody, especially Brand and yourself. In lives like these, where we can actually adopt our encounters and actually encourage me to be very flexible to listening because a lot of this stuff I wasn't even aware, and I like all those aspects of different professions that one can are associated with Mercury. But another thing too is it's the association with quick thinking. I'm saying? When we're doing these things and we're flowing with true essence, I think Mercury comes in us where we're able to adapt to the situation, the communication, listening skills. See, so that's what I know much about it. Is the way that the association with communication. And it's funny because I don't have Mercury in my three top ones. I have to look into it a lot more further. But I don't want to just chime in like that. I am en route home. I don't know if you hear all the noise in the background. It's en route home. So I should be home in about 10 minutes or sooner. But it's a pleasure. It's an honor to see both of you guys here. Another thing too, Mercury comes from miércoles, which is Wednesday, but today's Thursday.
Yep. Yes, and Mars and well, wait, no. Yeah, it is Wednesday. Sorry, Mars is Tuesday. All of a sudden I was like, wait, am I mixed up?
That's it's strange because you have to go English and Latin to get those. And like lunes is a Monday, so Moon Day. Tuesday is Martes, which is Mars. And then Wednesday is miércoles, Mercury. Excuse me. Thursday is Jueves. I don't even know what Jueves is. Thursday. What is that? Brent, what is that?
Jupiter.
Jueves. Oh yeah, Jupiter's. And then Friday is Viernes, Venus, and then Saturday is Sábado. Okay, Saturn.
Yep. Yeah, and actually
Yeah.
okay. And what's really cool, I'm so glad Azrael did that because literally that's the order. Like when I picked the order, I picked the sun to start because we had the solar eclipse. And then I'm like, well, we have to do the moon after the sun. And then I'm like, oh, we have to do Mars because of Aries. And then when I picked like Mercury and Jupiter, it didn't even click. Like I just automatically picked each planet for their day, like going literally from Sunday through. So it is really, and Bren, I think you're the one that pointed it out. You were like, did you do it intentionally? And I'm like, I started with the first 3 and then just wrote down the other ones. And I probably, it wasn't intentional, but I think my subconscious like was like, oh, okay. Like, right. It's kind of funny that way.
Yep. And I also remember this too. In the tarot, there are certain associations with Mercury to some of the tarot cards. Like for an example, you can see Mercury be present in, well, essentially in all the, I would have to say it would be the the pages, because the pages is the child. Pages are usually symbolized by the youth, the youngest of the court. Mercury is also mainly associated with the hermit, which kind of makes you think, the hermit. Well, usually the hermit's depicted as an old geezer with a walking stick and a lantern. Yes, but again, you got to keep in mind, Mercury is the one that is intelligent, and the one that's the most intelligent has to go away from everything, and he has to have his mind be able to decipher things on his own without any influence to best understand something. So once he understands, he can then guide with that light. Also, the Four of Cups, because Mercury, well, how the Four of Cups is depicted, it's a figure, and he's just like dissatisfied, and he just has his arms crossed all. Then there's another cloud with a cup coming by, and that's also the what's that word? Like the poutiness of Mercury. The childlike of Mercury gets pouty.
Yep.
And there's also the nine, even though technically that would be really a Venus and Virgo card, Nine of Pentacles, but the Nine of Pentacles is also Mercury in its house and element. It's where it's the most pure. And also Virgo, I also come to find out, and I even learned things too, but Mercury, Virgo, while we think, of course, is the Virgin and the whatnot, but it is also the sign that is the paramedic. And the original depiction of Virgo, of course, we think, oh, it's just a beautiful woman in white and she's just standing there. No. The way that it was like depicted in Vedic, you have like this side of a boat, and then there's like this loading dock that goes from like the ground to the boat. And what you see is Virgo, she's stepping off that transit point from like climbing onto the ship. She's stepping off of that, and her other foot's still on like that platform. And it looks like she's running, but she has in her hand Ayurvedic medicine in one hand, and the other is wheat. So she's literally running off the ship to go into the energy of the sixth house, which is afflictions, ailments, people in poverty, and sickness. She's literally running off the ship to go give help and support. So that's also Mercury, the medical provider. But with Virgo, it's that energy where they're going in to purify, cleanse, and to rid afflictions. So, fun fact, another thing about Mercury right there. Also, you can see Mercury in the Judgment card. Why? Well, how Mercury is noted to go down into Hades, comes back. Yep, that's really it. He's also the magician. The magician is understanding the elements of the world and then having them put together in a structured way to cause change. But at the same time, Mercury is also the fool, because it is that curious, gullible ignorance. It's that childlike freedom that, without him knowing, the dog pushes him off the cliff. And also the Lover's card is also Mercury, because it's associated with Gemini. But Gemini, while yes, some depictions say they're twins, but ultimately Gemini's like I am statement is I wouldn't say I am, is I communicate, or I understand, I acknowledge. It's that feeling of like seeing as an equal, or I equate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does. So one thing I love about Mercury is that when we look at our chart, sorry, my allergies have been so bad the last couple weeks. It's affecting my voice, but it is so like great to see it in our charts and know how people communicate, because some people communicate different ways. And, like I probably should have like done this with each one, but like if your Aries is in Mercury, you're going to communicate courageously, impulsively, very direct and original communication. And if I say this and you need me to repeat it, please in the comments just say repeat and I'll repeat. So we'll move to Taurus next. Taurus as an earth sign, they're typically grounded and they're consistent. They have really good memories, and actually they really do. Like if your Taurus is in Mercury, those are the people that can remember like so many details. And they're very practical. Gemini is playful and curious. They are adaptable, and they are the ones that can communicate with a variety of people. Cancer is sensitive and guarded, and they have a tendency to be emotionally and intuitively communicable. Leo, and I thought somebody said their Leo was in Mercury, if I'm remembering right. I Soul from the Stars, I don't have them. Oh, I don't do charts yet. I don't know if Astro's joining us tonight. I know he does. Bren, do you do charts?
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
So please make sure to follow Bren. I mean, I teach like the basic classes and stuff, but I'm not a novice, but I'm not advanced. All right. So I was on Leo. Yes. So I think somebody said they were Leo. But Leo is dramatic. Whenever I think of Leo in almost any position, I think of the Saturday Night Live character, Superstar. Oh my gosh, Mary Kate. Yes, now it's not going to ever leave your head, Bren. You're going to be going,
You don't know who I am. I am the king. Wow.
Yes. I always think of that with Leo, and I'm sorry, it is funny, but that's like literally the best description, okay, of Leo. And I love it. I love it, Tina. Yes, it is really like, what I need to do is I need to figure out which Saturday Night Live character coordinates with each of the signs, but that one just stuck out to me, right? So Leo is very dramatic and very passionate, and they've got that flair for communication. And then when we go into Virgo, so when Virgo's in Mercury, and this is what I love about Virgos, but they're very detail oriented and organized. So they have efficient, practical communication skills. We move into Libra, and they are diplomats. They are very balanced, and they have like this desire for harmony and fairness in their communication. So gotta love the Libras, right? And Scorpios, when your Mercury is in Scorpio, Scorpios are strategic and they're intuitive. They are the ones that have like really deep, insightful communication. And keep in mind also, this is not just the communication skills, but it's also their knowledge too. Then when we head into Sagittarius, when Mercury is in Sagittarius, these are our explorers. They are bold. They love to travel. And so like, this is like a good one for them. And they have like this desire to share their knowledge. They're the people we see on Jeopardy. So they're the ones that are winning all that money. And you're like, how do they know all these questions? Yes, I would bet money that people who are winning Jeopardy all the time most likely have Sagittarius in their Mercury. When your Mercury is in Capricorn, you're pragmatic and discerning, and you focus on practicality and long-term goals. When your Mercury is in Aquarius, these ones are very cerebral, right? And they focus on the future, they focus on the desired outcome, and they love to share new ideas. And finally, we wrap up with Pisces. And when Mercury is in Pisces, these are our artists. They're very emotional. They're very empathic and intuitive. And so all of that comes out with their communication and their knowledge skills. And it's really important for us to understand these concepts because, like, if you happen to have like a close friend or a family member who they're in Libra and you're not in Libra, it helps you understand how to communicate with them. They don't want to be bogged down. Like, so if you're a Pisces and so you're really emotional, that Libra they want to make it more fair and balanced. So it really helps us to understand And so like I kind of stress that, but I'll tell you, when I started incorporating it after I pulled all of the people in my inner circle, the people I'm super close with, I found that when I take where their planet is and incorporate that, it makes a huge difference in our relationship. Now, my husband had asked me one time, because he's like, wow, how is it like, and I'm like, because like I was literally explaining, well, your chart, your sign, your Venus is here, your Mercury's here, your Mars is here. And so I'm bending to fit you so that we can have a better relationship. And so then he's like, oh, and then he was like, well, where's yours? So he actually started catching on, and he laughs at me when I'm talking to my daughter, because he'll be like, how are you how do you deal with her that way? And it's like, because I had to like each of my kids like work a different way. My daughters work a different way, my son works a different way, and it does help a ton. So yep. So from the stars, I don't like, you can pull your chart. I can help break it down for you, but Bren does pull charts and read charts. So I do teach a couple classes on astrology to kind of help you break down all of this, but I'm really we're like between Bren and I tonight and Azriel, because we're just kind of giving you like those bits and pieces that can actually help you, at least with the Mercury. We're going to have to do like at the end of this, Bren, we're going to have to do like a basic astrology one.
Oh, yeah. And I think also to kind of like have like an idea, I think in a way, I got this feeling just like how I am with Saturn acting him out. I think I also have this urge just to act out each of the Mercurian signs, so that way you can actually hear and have an idea of how Mercury would be. Okay, take it up to the top. Mercury in Aries. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, yo, I'm talking to you. Hey, yo, good. Finally, yes, listen. Hey, what do you think about this? You know what? Now I'm gonna go. What do you think? Nah, I'm just gonna go for it. Very moving very quickly. Can be a bit aggressive. Taurus. So, it's not that I don't like this at all. I mean, it's okay, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't feel valuable. And yes, the sofa I'm sitting on. Yes, it did cost me $5 grand. Talking about wealth, talking about values. Mercury in Taurus is excelled in managing their assets, especially if it's a fixed asset like gold, silver. Mercury in Gemini. Breaking news. You ain't gonna believe this BS. Guess what happened to this guy downtown? Oh yeah. He kind of lost his wheel there, and yeah, now he has rosy cheeks. Yeah, on both ends, the face and the other end. Because Mercury likes to give the news of the town and communicate with masses of people. Mercury in Cancer. You know, I just care about you, okay? I just don't want anything to happen to you. Oh, wait, what happened? Just tell me everything that happened. No. Here, let me help you understand this problem. Okay, so Mercury gets down to their level. Okay, so you see this little apple right here? When there's another one, you put them together. Now there's two apples. You got that? Good job. I'm so proud of you. That motherly. Mercury and Leo. Do you not know who I am? Seriously? What are you, new here? I'm the king. Obviously. Now, peasant, listen to me at once. I said listen. Then Mercury and Leo's mother comes in. Hey. Yes, mother. Sit her down. Yes, mama. Mercury and Leo. Mercury and Virgo. Huh. Let's see. How can I make this even more simple and just get rid of all this unnecessary stuff? Wait, who's ill? Somebody food poisoned him? Oh, heck no. Now, why did you have to go and poison this person, dude? It was an accident. Be aware and also check the dates on your food before you serve. There's your write-up. That's Mercury in Virgo. Mercury in Libra. Hold on. We got no. Shh. Okay, you speak. Okay, now you speak. Okay, so now we know how both sides are. How can we both come together as a unit. And make sure you consider the other person now. Okay, good, perfect. Mercury and Scorpio. Hey man, how come you're not speaking? Go away. What's got into you? Don't talk to me. Is everything okay? If you speak again, something might be in a spot where you don't want it. Sorry, man. Mercury and Sagittarius. Oh, it's a fine day outside. You know what? I kind of want to just wander the world and just see what we can come up with in this lovely experience. Oh, hey, Pastor, how you doing over there? Mercury, you usually don't like coming around here. I thought I'd give it a chance. You know, some of this philosophical stuff's interesting, but it logically doesn't make sense. But I'm enjoying it. Mercury and Capricorn. So when are we? What was that for? You don't speak until I call on you. Yes, sir. Okay, now you can speak. So come on, speak. Don't waste my time. Mercury and Aquarius. Oh boy, here we go. This is probably going to be the funniest one. Mercury and Aquarius. Hey, would you like a cup of tea? Yeah, yes, have you the tea. You must have a cup of tea. You want a half a cup or a full cup? Just a full cup? Half cup? Okay, good. Would you like another? Here, have a fourth cup. I have a 1/5 cup. How am I supposed to just drink the tea? What's him? Oh, he's just Mercury and Aquarius. He's gone mad a little around here. Ah, we're all mad here, Alice. Just the hair. Just like half a hair strand amount. Okay. All right. Mercury and Pisces. You know, I don't know why, but just me speaking, I don't know. It's just, I have no words. It just feels woozy. Maybe. Interesting. But where's the egg? And that's Mercury in all the signs, as if it could speak. And that's how I teach. I essentially, metaphorically, become the planet in that sign.
And it's beautiful because that actually helps a lot. You know, when we can actually hear it. I've actually been, it was funny. One of the places I worked, one of the coworkers was, she was just a character, and I'd be like, oh yeah, her Mercury's in this and her this is this. And somebody actually went and asked her date of birth and her time of birth because they wanted to see if I was right. And they were like, you were right on all of the planets. And I'm like, yeah, because the person, you could just read them like a book. Yeah, as you start to learn the astrological signs, you can usually predict like where people are at. So it is kind of funny when we get to that point, especially when they're Mercury, because we all communicate. So Mercury is one of the easier ones to pick, to figure out what type of person they are, by where it is. So that's really fun. So I saw a couple of you asking. Yeah, I'm gonna repeat the places where you can get free charts. And if you want to have like a dive deeper in your charts, Bren does do that. I do teach classes. Bren also teach classes. So if you're like, oh, I want to take a class, feel free. I should have my stuff in my bio. I was updating and I noticed it had gone blank. If it's not there, I'll check it again tonight. But you can always DM me. And Bren, do you have a link for where your classes are? Is it in your bio, or should we just have people DM you?
You can do it in either go into my link in bio. I have a form that you just fill out, and then you just check what you want done, and then I'll get back into contact with you if there's that route. Or you can also go through the route of, there's another thing called Just Ask Me. You just click on that, and then it'll just give you all the options there. It's the same thing. Or you can just send me a message in DM, and when say if you're wanting to actually learn how to read astrology, I usually offer 30-minute personal instruction and an hour personal instruction. Just let me know what it is specifically you want to learn. And before the session even starts, I'll get all the notes I have on whatever subject it is. So that way we don't have to go and waste time being all like, okay, so what do you need to learn about this? Okay, so you want to learn that. And just, yeah, try to make it as beneficial to you, but then also all the notes that I do share, you'll get a copy of. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I'll tell you what, when I started, like when I literally the first book I checked out from the library on astrology was, oh my gosh, Linda, it's her love signs. It's Linda. Now all of a sudden I'm blanking on the last name. It's a very old book. Okay, I got to Google it. Sorry, because this is going to bother me. Oh, Linda Goodman. And it is a very, oh, yep, it was originally published in 1978. But I will tell you, I have reread it and I was like, boom, like it doesn't change. Astrology doesn't change. So that's the kind of the nice thing. But astrology it is a lifelong learning. I mean, don't you think so, Bren? That like there's so much to learn.
If anybody, I don't care who it is, if anybody says they've mastered astrology, nope, they're given BS. Because in order to master astrology, you have to go through so many lifetimes to understand one little fragment of it completely.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw it out, not just astrology. When we're dealing with anything in the spiritual path, I mean, even just working with the planet Mercury in witchcraft, it's a lifelong learning process. But the same thing when we're working with herbs, when we're working with crystals, I mean, it is a lifelong learning process. Because I thought, oh, when I get done with this, I'll start doing this. There's no getting done because it's like there's so much knowledge out there. I don't know. I'm a sponge. Give me a book or give me a library, and I'm happy. Azrael, any comments on that?
Percent, 100%, and that's part of why we have to have a open mind and be able not to be stuck on what we believe, because there's always opportunities for us to change our perspective and our knowledge on specific things. The first time around, yes, we learned some, but you know what? You'll be amazed the second time around when you're learning other stuff along with what you already know. Now you start to incorporate it and start to see a lot of things more clearer, and it starts to make sense. So you're putting all the pieces together. So yeah, keep an open mind, be able to integrate and actually accept the ability to what do you call it? Evolve from it. In other words, don't stay stagnant with what you know and say, oh, I'm the best of something, because like you say, you're never going to be the best. You're always going to learn new things. There's always new things popping up all the time.
Yep. And we learn in our Mercury. That's our communication and our knowledge. So, yeah. And I mean, just to like throw it out there, like when you're not learning and you're not open-minded, it's not because your Mercury is in a weird astrological sign. That actually delves into you're too stuck you're probably stuck in your shadow self that needs to heal, or you've got like some trauma, or your ego is getting in the way. So also keep that in mind. So you might be going there and going, well, I'm not like that, but it's because you're blocked. And when we're blocked, it's going to manifest weird. So I don't know if, Brent, if you want to like touch on that, and then we'll have Azrael touch on it.
Yes.
On being blocked.
So I wanted to tie in some things pertaining to like using Mercury's influence magically. So we think about, okay, like we have communication, intellect, and things along those lines. But let's think a little outside the box here. So Mercury. Well, we know that Mercury is a new planet. So Mercury can also, believe it or not, I'm going to try to find a way to put this in a way where it's not like odd. Mercury's influence can help somebody become more pacified, if that makes sense. So their thinking process is more easy. Like, oh, okay, maybe I'll give that a try. Maybe I'll listen. that's using Mercurian influence to make somebody go from like, nope, it's got to be the old-fashioned way to like, you know what? Let me hear what you got to say. It loosens it up because Mercury is that flexibility. He's adaptable. Mercury can also be used. I kind of feel bad saying this. Mercury can also be used to, like, say, if you're making a servitor, it can also help you make a kind of a copy, an energetic copy of yourself. Like, say, for an example, you can use that as a means of protecting yourself. So if somebody does, Lord forbid, any kind of working on you, that energetic copy takes the hit instead. Then it doesn't get you. Just an example. And Mercury's also, crap, it just flew right out of my head. Oh, aromatherapy too. Air, yeah. Sandalwood, that just popped in my head. I'm going to roll with it. Would be the preferred incense, I believe. And Devi can correct me if I'm wrong with that. Trying to think of another thing as well. Emerald was the assigned stone from the text. Again, if I'm wrong, Devi will correct me. And that's another thing too. With learning anything of the subject, and even how vastly knowledgeable that I am, I will fully, happily admit I make whoopsies too.
Mm-hmm.
And if I ever make whoopsies, I would want somebody to say, hey, oops. Okay, good. Now that I know that I made the whoopsie and now I know what it needs to be, I can fix it. But since I am coming from that standpoint of the Jyotish Vedic astrology, if I say something wrong, that's why I always say if I go anywhere in the wrong way, whatever Devi or even I think you guys know Tantra Child. If either one of them come in and correct me, they override everything I say. Always. No ifs, ands, buts, or tushes about it because they know far more than I do. So just wanted to put that preference, and I forgot what else was I going to say. But yeah, all that.
And you know what? I love, like Brent, I love that you're humble about it. I found that like my teachers that are like, I don't know, I need to check on it. Or, you know what, that one I haven't learned yet. I have so much more respect for them because I know that they're teaching me, but they're also learning. And I love that. Like for me, you know, it's constant learning. And like some of these astrology books are really, really deep. And it's like, okay, I got to read that a second time. So, but there's a lot of great ones out there. Before I let Azriel pop up, I did want to repeat it again. So, applications on your phone, it is on any of the phones, iPhone, Samsungs, Androids. Time passages, and then you literally have your astrological chart right there in front of you, and it actually will give you, like when you scroll on it, I can't show you my phone because I'm on it, but you can scroll through and it will break it down for you, not as well as like as you learn it, but it's a good start. And then astro.com and Astro Cafe, you can get free charts. And I can't remember which one. I think it's Astro Cafe. You can pick the extended version and you will get like a printout that's between 30 to 50 pages. And I say that because I printed the extended one for like everybody that I'm super close with. So when I'm saying super close, I'm talking my parents, my siblings, my spouse, my children, my grandchildren. Like I literally pull their chart and get everything. And so, yeah, so like there's, one of them was 50 pages and the shortest one was like 30 pages. And it does get extended. And actually the nice thing is if you pull that extended chart, that will actually also help you learn your astrology. But the cool thing is when you pull it for your others, for like other people in your circle, in your life, in your hive, you actually start to kind of learn, and then you see those characteristics and you can recognize them in other people. And thank you, Bren, for adding those other ones. That helps too. Like, it helps for us to have that. And like, I see, I haven't even studied the Vedic, so I love that because we have so much variety here. That's another reason why these spiritual panels are so important, is we get to have that beautiful variety of knowledge and learning so that we can just all ascend and grow together. So, Azriel, I know we've like chatted a lot. Anything to add?
You're on point. I love it. Like I said, I actually purchased a book about 4 years ago about astrology. I picked it up and I gave it away. I said, this is too much to learn. I'm already, working with other stuff. It was too much to entertain myself because, like Brent said, it's a lifetime and it might take more than a lifetime to know everything. So, yeah, it's allowing to have yourself, an understanding of what it is and getting the aspects. Because once you know people's astrology, not 100%, but just enough, you can actually pick up on the traits and understand an individual. So, if an individual that might have a you with more clarity and understanding of the individual. They don't mean to be that way. It's just it's part of the planetary alignments and stuff like that. So it makes a lot of sense. I believe a world will be a lot better place if everybody utilize these tools. And speaking of tools, I'm doing a live tonight about shadow work and how vital it is. And I think one of the things that I do want to bring up is that astrology is a perfect tool just for the same aspects of that. So if you guys want to just swing by, I can actually make that a first segment of it, so that way we can delve a little bit into it, because I definitely believe astrology plays a big role, and Astro as well is aware of it. So. But yeah, I'm just gonna yield. I just got home. I'm settling down a little bit, trying to feed my dog, change clothes, and switch over and stuff like that. So if you don't mind, I'll chime in. But this is a very educational live here, and I recommend those that are not taking notes. Please take notes, man. There's a lot to learn here. This is a beautiful life. Thank you.
Sprinkle in, because when you mentioned shadow work, I will sprinkle in just a little bit, like the kind of like the major points of like how shadow work and astrology go hand in hand. Now, when we are looking for embracing the shadow, now, of course, we can look at, of course, Pluto, probably the biggest significator of that. Okay, whoop-de-whoop. But now, if we're going to take a look at the shadow work, we have to take a look primarily for the number one closest physical planet that represents the shadow, the darkness. The part where we want nothing to do with, because it's like, oh Lord Lanta, I don't want to go anywhere near that. I don't want to touch that with a 50-yard pole. Nope. So which planet is the one that would be the most fitting for that? It's me! Yeah, Saturn! Now come over here and look at this crap. Look at it. See it? Stop it. Fix it. Oh, I can't look at it. Oh my good Lord, it's going to make me faint. Look, accept it. Good, done. Next one. That's what Saturn does. He makes you face the reality of things. And facing the shadow is the harshness reality. But at the same time, despite it being difficult, when you go through it and take all the time you need to embrace it, learn from it, and then grow from it, that's also Saturn. Because when you go in to a part where you're not comfortable, up to your limit, and then once you're able to get through it, you gain all the reward of the effort. And you come to realize that despite it being difficult, walking with the old geezer hitting you upside the head with a walking stick, you come out on the other side and you think, wow, this is like the best thing ever. See? I'm not evil, damn it. Now stop telling people I'm evil. Get sick of that stupid stereotype. I quit. But that's what Saturn is. What you put out, he'll reward you back. And he'll help you get through it, but he'll be brutally honest about it. He's not doing it to be mean. Well, some people he has fun playing golf with their head, but ultimately it's think of it like the perspective of having, let's see, that one teacher from elementary school that was strict, but at the same time, she's being strict because she knows your potential. She knows that you can be your best all the time. And she's wanting you to be on that A game all the time. And when you're not, she helps point it out to you. That's why Saturn, believe it or not, I consider it to be like your right hand man. Of course, it gets. You might be thinking, but it's so annoying when he comes out of nowhere and says, "This was bad." What did you say? Listen, kid, if I didn't give a bloody heck about you, I would come and say, "Hey, Captain, we got a hole in this ship. We got to fix this." I could just be fishing over the side of the boat, like, "Oh, the ship's sinking. Oh well, oh well, they'll be with the fishies and later tonight." Nope, he does it because he cares, just in a way where you can't avoid it.
Just so that everybody knows, I am actually posting replays. So if you've missed most of this and you're like, oh my gosh, there's all, because we have given a lot of really great astrology tips and tricks and magical, because it started out with magical workings with working with Mercury if you are a witch. So it does start out that way. I am posting the replays on my Patreon and on my YouTube. I believe it is about a week or 2 weeks behind because I decided to post them. It had been a week or so and I was like, oh, I can do this. And then just FYI, Bren and Azriel, because you're both my moderators, I am allowing you guys to get a copy of the live. So if you do want to post the live on your other places, you can. They do not repost on TikTok because you can't post anything over an hour. Well, at least I can't post anything over an hour. But you can watch it on my YouTube or on my Patreon. So feel free if you can't find that information. It is like on some of my posts, but please feel free to DM me if you want to like watch the replay. So that's kind of the nice thing, especially if you miss taking notes and you're like, oh my gosh, because it is nice when we do, or if we miss something, so that you can go back and say, okay, I missed that. And because yes, we do grow. And like Azriel's always saying, we need to take notes because we can learn and grow so much from each other. And I love that ability for us to be able to do. So that we can learn and grow. Also, I want to thank everybody for the gifts for myself and for Brennan Azriel up on panel. And thank you everybody for the hearts for liking the video. We're at 6.5. We will be shutting down by 10:30 because Azriel's going live and we do migrate from here to Azriel's live because, hey, we have to share the party. And the party goes on all night, right? This is how we do it.
Good night.
Yeah. So please let's like try to get those hearts up. I'd love to reach 10K because that will help. And thank you again for the gifts. But we'll kind of move on. Bren, what else are we missing? Anything that we need, like that we really need to touch on Mercury? Because I want to make sure. I kind of went over Mercury in retrograde.
I think that's another thing. When we have Mercury in retrograde, because it is probably the most talked about astrological thing that the world talks about. So here, let's kind of untie this thing that the world decided to make stereotypes about. So when we have retrogression, first and foremost. Now, the Vedic text. Sorry, I had to throw something in the trash. The Vedic texts describe that retrogression motion as Valkyr. Valkyr is Sanskrit, which loosely, approximately, it translates to bendable, pliable, flexible, can easily be morphed or bended. So when you have a planet in retrogression, they're becoming that flexible, pliable, that they're more lenient with their significance. Okay, so when you have Mercury retrograde, think of it this way. A planet retrograde gets closer to Earth, so its influences are more potent. and more, like they're mainly influencing much more. So it's either an extension of too much or an extension of barely any. But that's when you have to take a look at the person's placements. If it's in a sign where Mercury is comfortable, a sign where Mercury is not the best. But again, it all depends on the chart. But nonetheless, so when you have a planet that's retrograde in a birth chart, whenever that planet goes retrograde for you, it's going to feel like, oh, this is normal for me. So, okay, I can handle this. But when it turns direct, ugh, it kind of, best way I could put it, it's like that scene from The Emperor's New Groove. So when the planet goes direct, while it's retrograde in your chart, you have oh, you threw off my groove. I'm sorry, you're throwing off the Emperor's groove. Sorry. Kind of like that. Your groove gets thrown off. Because the movement in the sky is not the same when you were born. So it does have that kind of a bit of a challenge with it. But say if you have it born direct and Mercury goes retrograde in the transit and whatnot. When that happens, there can be an overextension of too much thinking, too much communication, or your ability to process information goes face plant. Or you struggle to speak. You're not able to do Mercurian things as effectively as you can. And that's also an indication where this might sound weird, but we're going to nod our head and go with it. Whenever Mercury goes retrograde, usually if somebody doesn't swing one way, they might swing the other way if you catch my drift. Nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. The curiosity's there. But also, got to keep in mind, it could be an overextension of it or a complete lack of it. So it can go either way. It just all depends on the placements in the transit, but also your own personal ones too, because that will influence also. So as you can see, retrogradation can be like, whoa, deep. Yeah. But the main thing is that if it's retrograde, you'll be like, okay, somewhat normal. Okay, I can handle this. This is like normal to me. Not retrograde, but it's retrograde in the sky. Wait a minute. I just had that thought, now it went away. Wait. No, not yet. I think maybe I don't know right now. That communication gets blocked.
Yep.
But those are some examples.
Mm-hmm. And it's also a time our technology goes crazy. Watch it next time we're in retrograde. So the next retrograde will be on July 18th. Watch, that's when your computers might shut down or your internet might be funky and you're like, what's going on? You'll notice that will interfere. And honestly, once you can embrace the retrogrades and okay, I might have a hard time with communication. Travel might be a thing. I might not be open-minded. When you understand what happens when Mercury goes into retrograde, it's easier for you to embrace it. And then you'll be like, oh, I forgot it was Mercury in retrograde. And I'm going to tell you, this is really, really true, because as soon as it clicked in my head, people will be like, Mercury's in retrograde. I will even say it. I'll be like, oh, Mercury's in retrograde. But it's not because of me. It's because people around that don't understand it, they don't embrace it, so they don't deal with it right. And so then you have to deal with them having screaming attacks. This is when I try to avoid going to the store, because that's when, the Karens come out during retrograde, because they don't know how to communicate right. But this is, yeah, see, I got Brent laughing. It's like, Mercury in retrograde, that was on sale for $2. I'm not going to the store. That's curbside pickup.
and another, and a technique too, to say if you're let's say Mercury's in retrograde and yours is direct, and you're trying to offset that specific effect of Mercury retrograde, what you can do, and I'm going to try and demonstrate here. So the closest stone I have is just this these little pieces of Amazonite. So what you would do, see if I can get this thing to behave. Come on, can't do. So what you would do is like, okay, so you would take just one of these pieces of Amazonite. Come here, get over here. So let's say you have Mercury in the. I'm just throwing something random there. Mercury in the 10th house. So what you would do, you would take your. Hold on, gotta grab my other arm. You would take your. See, now the Mercury retrograde's getting me. The Amazonite.
It's over.
Then you just take the Amazonite, then you would go around the kneecap 10 times, because that's the 10th house. And you just go around 10 times. If you want to do it on the other knee too, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one example. But if you have, crap, I just lost. Nope, it'll come back. There it is. If you have the option to use a piece of emerald, that's the most ideal stone to use, emerald. If you don't, peridite can be a substitute. Amazonite can be a substitute. Even, hold on, I know exactly where this specific one is. Get over here. No, not you. Even a piece, even though this is on a necklace, Kareth, I have none. Even a piece of jade will do the same thing. Right on wherever Mercury's at, and depending on what house it is. So if Mercury's in the first house, you would just go around once on your head. Second house, the face, throat, twice. Hands for the third house, shoulders for the third, the chest for the fourth house 4 times. The fifth house, the diaphragm, circle 5 times. Sixth house, the stomach area 6 times. Seventh house, this is where it gets a little funky. Seventh house, it would be right below the navel and circle 7 times. The eighth house, well, certain spots, but be careful where you push it, and circle 8 times. Ninth house, the upper thigh, 9 times. 10th house is of course, the patella, the kneecap, 10 times. 11th house, like right below the knee to the ankle, the shin, 11 times, and Pisces, 12 times for the foot.
And honestly, I loved working with peridite. I love my moldavite. Moldavite is a touchy one. So,
yeah, she's sassy.
Yeah. Yes, sassy, cheeky, however you want to call it. Moldavite is that. So you do need to learn to work with her gently, or she needs to gently work with you. But once you start to work with it, it's I remember when I first got this moldavite ring, I really struggled with it and I couldn't wear it every day. I don't even take it off anymore. So that's just a heads up, but I need to do a deep dive class on moldavite, to be honest, because I know a lot of people always have questions on it. But I do want to let Azrael say goodbye, because I know he's probably getting ready for his live. I will be ending the live in 7 minutes, so we can all go over to Azrael. So if you're not following Azrael, Bren, or myself, please make sure to follow us, but just kind of keep that in mind. We're going to all jump over to Azrael's live in 7 minutes. So Azrael, do you want to say any parting words? Not that I'm kicking you off, but I know if you need to jump off, you can at least say goodbye right now. If he's there, we probably got him busy.
Well, then I guess I'll just be so long, farewell. I don't know the rest of the song.
Arrivederci. I don't remember it either. I should remember it. But yes, we are wrapping up for tonight. Again, I post the replays on my YouTube and my Patreon channel. And Brenna and Azrael, you're going to start getting those because you guys are my moderators. So if you want to post them on your YouTubes or Patreons, if you have either, you can feel free. I want to thank everybody for all the gifts and for the likes. We almost hit 10K. So we're we're 400 likes away. So we're really, really close if we can hit that 10K. Bren, go ahead. I know Bren joins me on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. But Bren, go ahead, share your stuff, share when you're live.
Well, if you really like to know when I go live, I'm still trying to figure out the specific day. Originally, I was planning on going live every day and having each specific day be like for a specific topic. But yeah, I kind of lost that schedule. But primarily, you can usually see me mainly. I'm thinking about maybe just claiming Saturday because that is the old geezer's day, Saturn's day. That's what I'm thinking at least. So, but usually when I go live, most of the time I usually like to kick it off with using GhostTube because it tends to get a little humorous when I use that thing. But another side note, speaking of that, when it comes to using those tools at home versus using them in say a cemetery, there's a completely line that's drawn in the sand. When you use those tools at home, you're in your domain, you're in your place. So you have some say to be like, this is my space. Respect it. When you go to a cemetery or a graveyard or a place of rest, you do not have that luxury. Not one bit. So you step into a cemetery with those tools, if you get any feeling or indication to turn it off, you turn it off.
Yes. Yes. I absolutely love using GhostTube. I was on my ancestry altar and I was ending a night one night, walked in my room, and I had never used GhostTube with my family on my family altar. Walked in my room, put my phone on my nightstand, GhostTube turned on, and they said, I love you too. I was like, wow. I mean, it was really, really cool. So if you don't have that, that's a fun app, and go to the cemetery with it. So thank you, Bren. Azriel, I don't know if you're still there. If you want to let everybody know, we're going live on your channel here in a second. I think he's probably busy getting stuff ready.
But yeah, okay, but I guess we're just cannonball over there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just do one last reminder. Tuesdays, it's Tuesday Tarot. And so Bren and I pull tarot cards. Sometimes we have other people up that will help do other divination too. So if you want to have a tarot card pulled or an oracle card, because sometimes it's an oracle card, go ahead and join me 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tuesday Tarot. Always here on Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. And then we jump over to Azriel. Next week, we're talking about Jupiter. So it will be Jupiter working it into your magical craft if you're a witch or a pagan. And then we'll spend a lot of time on the astrological part of Jupiter. And then Sunday is Witchy Book Club, Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Miss. And we are on chapter 4. Every week we're doing a chapter, and this is a deep dive. This one is on the 7 stages of healing and power. So it's been really great conversations. So please feel free to join on Sunday. Again, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so as always, everyone, thank you so much for all of the gifts. We hit 11K. You guys are awesome. I love everybody on panel. Thank you so much for all of your input, and everybody in the chat. We've had some beautiful conversations, wonderful questions. Love being here and being able to share all of this with you, and love that you all are here to share with us, and that we can grow together and we can evolve together and we can make the earth a better place. So as always, merry meet, merry part, bright blessings, and namaste.